Everything's on fire. Everything's on fire. Everything's on fire.
Happy Tuesday and welcome back, Heat Seekers. It is the Dynasty Heat Seekers. Hopefully, the world treated you well in week 3. We are going to have some fun tonight getting you ready for week 4 with talking about some facts and fiction. It's an interesting topic. It'll be a fun topic. Hopefully, you'll stick around. You'll ask lots of questions, and we'll have lots of answers. Like always, wait till the end of the show. Stay with us and get your questions answered live. But make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification button, everything you do when I tell you to, because you see me and I ask you nicely, and you're polite people. So welcome. First and foremost, Mr. Sullivan, how are you tonight, my friend?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me. How are you? I'm pumped up for tonight.
I am living the dream, excited that I'm spending another night with my awesome cohort in crime, Mr. Anthony Leone. How's it going in your world, brother?
Everything's great. Had a great day off, so I'm refreshed, rejuvenated. Can't wait to get into the stream tonight. Craig, I appreciate your question. As Brad just said, we answer all questions at the end of our episode, so stick around and we'll get to that for you.
We know that's not going to happen. We know that's not going to happen because Craig is helping out other fantasy networks at the same time, or I should say a half hour from now. So make sure you show some love to the IDP tipster, and Craig will be over there. But we'll answer your question at the end. We're probably not going to do that. But either way, it's a good question, and one of these days we'll make sure Anthony answers that question. But with that being said, Sully, what is going on in the news and notes today? What are we talking about?
We got a bunch of little kind of fun things. There's nothing really crazy breaking unless I miss something. But Craig is the best. Sorry, I'm distracted by Craig's comments, which basically means he's accomplished his goal.
Well done.
Josh Gordon, he's back. And apparently he's going to the Kansas City Chiefs. And if you're listening to Brad and you're liking and subscribing and clicking the notification bell, you've already watched the video that the hardest working man at Roto Heat has put out today. My question to you, Anthony, is if he's on your waiver wire in your leagues, are you picking him up?
It would have to be a really deep league, man. I'm not going to lie. I have him on 2 of my Dynasty rosters, very deep. I paid $0 for him. And so I think if you have a deep roster and it doesn't really cost you anything, then I'm all for it. Could I possibly trade him for a 4th round pick? I'd be open to it. But I mean, I wouldn't be spending any fab on him, and I wouldn't really be having really any high expectations for him. Brad?
Yeah, you've already heard, the combined groupthink of the Roto Heat team in our video earlier. If you haven't, check it out. It definitely is worth the watch. I'm not spending fab on him, but I do think it's an interesting proposition for Kansas City. They need a wide receiver too, and they haven't been getting that kind of production from any of the guys that they're trying to make the wide receiver to. Robinson, Hardman, any of those guys. So I think it's interesting to see if he can pan out. But, like Sully put in our comments, it was like 2013 the last time he was productive.
So I went down a Josh Gordon rabbit hole today. And so, yes, he was the wide receiver 2 in 2013. He has played in 33 games since then. It's 2021. How many top 12s has he given you? Top 12 wide receiver weeks, Anthony, do you think Josh Gordon has given you in those 33 weeks that he's played?
I would guess none.
He's done 2 top 12s, 6 top 24, and 6 top 36. The legend of Josh Gordon is the equivalent of Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster. It's a fable.
Yeah,
now,
it's tough.
I don't know, man, but if he's sitting there on my waiver wire, I am going to pick him up just because why not? To Anthony's point, if you can acquire him for nothing, I think you do. What I find very, very interesting is Kansas City, this is nothing new for Kansas City looking for the wide receiver 2 to pair with Tyreek Hill. We've seen Sammy Watkins try that and fail. We've seen Mecole Hardman, Pringle, Robinson, Gordon. They have a wide receiver 2. His name is Travis Kelce, and those 2 are better than pretty much any combo in the league. So I just thought it was sort of interesting,
I will add, like, if you're in like a redraft or like our guillotine, Sully, with only 6 bench spots, there's no way. There's no way I would add him in that format. Someone will in our league. I'm sure they will. But it's the bench spot is worth way more than that for me personally.
Well, and so the question that I would pose to you is, how do they get attention taken off of Tyreek? Because Tyreek's really been struggling the last couple of weeks.
Right?
Maybe
I should have added him to the fact and fiction list then.
Let's add him on.
We've seen
let's
this.
Throw him on number 11.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Pull that back. We'll put that over there. Anthony.
Right.
We'll cut and edit that out. He was always there. Let's chop
I
this
don't know what
back
you
up.
people are talking about. Marlon Mack. Apparently the Colts and Marlon Mack and his camp have come to terms, a mutual agreement that he's not going to play for them anymore, and they're going to try to trade him. So, Brad, where are they going to trade Marlon Mack, and is that going to happen?
If you followed me on Twitter, I posted like yesterday or maybe even in the last few days, I wonder if Marlon Mack's getting traded because he was a healthy scratch. And
This is
all of a
like the
sudden,
second or third time you've done this.
I'm telling you,
pretty
there's something to it. I've got a,
You got a
secret eye or
relationship with
something.
someone up there or something that's giving you a little bit of tips?
Jesus? Yeah, I do.
Hmm?
Absolutely. That's for another time.
Mike, that's a different show.
There's a lot of teams that could use Marlon Mack. Obviously, if you watched our tiered ranking videos, when you watched them, I mentioned the Patriots with James White's hip injury. Like, they could use a receiving back, and now Marlon Mack is available. Do they do something like that? Do you see him go to a team like Baltimore, who's now on running back 40? I mean, there's a few teams that have playoff aspirations. I don't know that New England really has playoff aspirations, but teams that think they have playoff aspirations that could use Marlon Mack. And if this happens, all the Marlon Mack shares I've been sitting on blow up, right? So I don't know. Anthony,
I got one of those, so I don't know what to do with them. So I'm hoping that's what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ravens make sense. Niners make sense.
Niners make sense.
I hate that move if he goes to the Niners, though. They use too many running backs for him to be fantasy relevant. Ugh.
I could see the Panthers making sense too with Christian McCaffrey. I mean, they have a better idea on his return than anyone else. Not him, him not going on IR helps, but I mean,
I think the Chargers make sense too.
Chargers would make sense
because they don't really have a second back.
So I think it could happen, but what are they going to really get for him anyway? Like a 6th round pick at best?
Yep. Well, I mean, they're not going to look for a huge return on him. I mean,
and he's cheap. I think they paid him $1 million this year. So
and that's why they agreed to trade him. I mean, they don't really have any use for him. So
what happens if they send him to a team like Tampa Bay, who has been struggling to find that true lead back? How does that make you feel?
Well, how does that make me feel? What as a Marlon Mack fantasy manager, or as just a person in general?
Or maybe
I'm not offended by it.
A Fournette or Rojo owner.
Well, I mean, just as an individual that may have some sort of interest in football in some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
What does Marlon Mack do to you in that situation?
I think he becomes the same as Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones and Giovanni Bernard. To be totally honest, I don't think Marlon Mack is here to save the day. That's a good one, Cody. I think that is totally legit and possible.
Poor CEH owners. He finally has a good week and he loses his starting job to Marlon Mack.
I think the Wednesday night co-host just put a lid on that conversation. Well done.
Yeah, so I think it's an interesting direction for Marlon Mack in a fantasy sense that I'm excited for him because obviously it wasn't happening in Indy and we know he's healthy. I mean, he's had 3 weeks. They've had him in the game and now he's a healthy scratch. So trading him, it'll be interesting to see where he goes.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. One more little thing, and that's way more time than I thought we talked about Marlon Mack, is it's really interesting for the Cam Akers fantasy managers out there because we've been talking about people coming back from an Achilles injury at the running back position, hasn't been done, blah, 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 blah. So if Mack can make his way back, and Akers being a lot younger than Marlon Mack, that's a positive for him.
Oh, absolutely.
Cool. Tony Pollard through 3 weeks, 35 touches, 38.8 fantasy points. Ezekiel Elliott, 51 touches, 50.2 fantasy points, all in PPR scoring, both averaging about a fantasy point per touch. If you're the Ezekiel Elliott fantasy manager, are you concerned about Tony Pollard, Anthony?
I'm not really too concerned about him. I think Zeke, when he scored a couple touchdowns last night, that was really, really good to see. I really view this backfield really similar to like the Cleveland Browns. Like
Okay.
Chubb is the guy, early down work, a little bit of passing, kind of like Zeke. Obviously, Chubb's probably a little bit better than Zeke at this point in their career, but still really similar. And then Pollard's kind of more like Kareem Hunt. So it's can both backs produce? Yes, we've seen it happen. Number of teams in the past have done it. That's really how I see this backfield. So as a Zeke owner, I'm a little concerned, but I'm not really that concerned because Zeke's still going to get his fair share.
Well, what this shows you is that not only are they trying to help keep all these running backs healthy for a playoff run, but Zeke as a true, elite top end running back just isn't that. It's just it doesn't need to happen anymore. They have Tony Pollard, who's very talented. Why do you need to do that? Now it sucks for fantasy. Do we want a workhorse, kind of only running back on a team that's producing? Yes, but it just isn't going to happen. So I think this is good for fantasy because both can be viable in this offense as long as Dak's healthy and they're continuing to move forward like this. This offense is good. I mean, this is one of those offenses where, like we talked about Kansas City or Arizona, you want a piece of it because it can be very productive. Tight ends can be productive if they just pick one and stick with them. Wide receivers can be productive, the top three, two definitely. A third one has potential from week in, week out, two running backs. I mean, that's what I see it as. So it's not a bad thing for Zeke. I mean, it sucks for fantasy owners, but it's a good thing because they're both productive and they're both doing a good job in the roles that they're given. Sully?
Yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying. I think there's definitely enough meat on the bone for both of them. And it's going to be interesting to see how that Dallas offense continues to evolve. We're going to talk a little bit more about that coming up later on. Dalvin Cook missed last week's contest for my Minnesota Vikings. Alexander Madison stepped in and did pretty good, pretty darn good, actually. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, he had 32 touches in that game, 23.1 PPR fantasy points. Chuba Hubbard gets that opportunity for the Carolina Panthers. How many touches and how many fantasy points, Anthony, is he going to have and score?
I'm guessing 15 to 20 touches. He's not as good as CMC, obviously. He's not even as good as Madison. We saw him drop some passes in that one touchdown pass he should have got. I mean, I think that was the most glaring issue of Chuba last week. So again, 15 to 20 touches. We'll see some Royce Freeman sprinkled in there as well.
How many fantasy points?
15-ish.
Okay.
I mean, a lot depends on if he scores. But
I'm not writing this down, but I'm writing it down. Okay.
Yeah, 15 I think is about what I'd say. Brad,
cool.
What do you think?
Yeah, I was leaning like 12 or 13. That offensive line is such a mess that it's hard for even, a guy like Christian McCaffrey was still producing well, but Chuba Hubbard's not nearly the same back. So give me 12.
How many points?
12.
Okay.
12 points.
I'm going to go with 25 touches and 28 fantasy points just because.
Oh, wow.
It's not a bad thing to have some positivity around here every once in a while.
That's the
All
worst.
Right.
Awful.
Undefeated teams, and I'm almost done here. I'm in a really weird mood tonight, boys. Undefeated teams: the Raiders, the Broncos, the Panthers, the Cardinals, and the Rams. Just like we thought after 3 weeks. Brad, who's the best team here and who's undefeated the longest? And really quickly, Raiders at Chargers, Ravens at Broncos, Panthers at Cowboys, and two undefeated teams, Cardinals and Rams, face each other in week 4.
I'm going to go Rams of all these teams. Defense is just good enough. Offense is obviously they showed you how good they are. So give me Rams. Anthony.
Okay.
Yeah, the Rams is kind of the chalky answer. I'm gonna go with the Raiders just because I've said Raiders the past 2 weeks, and I still think they have the best shot to be undefeated next week. I don't think they're the best team, but I do think they have the best chance of remaining undefeated.
I like it. I think the Rams is absolutely the chalky play because it's absolutely the right answer. So
yeah,
that'll be that. And Brad, that's it for news and notes. It's over to you now, man.
All right. So truth be told, this is Sully's brainchild. So tonight's topic is a fun one that he came up with. We're going to talk fact or fiction. So we're going to talk about certain players and if we think what they're doing and what they're going to do is fact or it's fiction. We're going to try to run through it quickly because about 10-ish, we're going to start doing some Q&A. So make sure you guys pop your comments in the chat, and super chats get answered first, but all chat questions will get answered. So let's start at the top. Jalen Hurts right now is QB4, 24.37 points a game. Anthony, fact or fiction on this one? Is he going to stay that way?
It's a fact. It's a fact. He is going to stay easily QB1. He didn't have a good game yesterday, but he still pulled through, baby. So he has that rushing upside. He at worst he'll have garbage time like last week. I don't think he's in any real fear of losing his job. People are saying, Minshew. No, come on, not going to happen. Minshew's only going to be starting if Hurts gets hurt. So I think it's a fact. Do not don't fret over this bad game. Hurts is still going to deliver for fantasy purposes. Sully.
I'm going to agree with my astute colleague here that it is absolutely a fact. I believe I had him ranked 8th coming into the season. I think he might even eclipse that. Anthony makes a great point. He was brutal last night, and he still somehow put up QB1 numbers. So it just goes to show you don't have to be a good quarterback to be a good fantasy quarterback. I think, if you want to go really bold, I think Jalen Hurts finishes as a top 10 quarterback and doesn't have a job next year.
Well, and if anybody that was part of our community preseason, we talked about where we thought the players were going to fall. And we talked about Hurts being a back-end QB1 this year, kind of in the 10 to 12 range. So it's not a surprise that this is the case. I'm not surprised at all. So, all right, one in the book, but you guys showed up and we have a super chat. So we're going to drop everything and we're answering the super chat. Slim, we appreciate you, brother. Yeah, absolutely. I was the Sunday morning show I don't normally get to watch, but I watched and I saw Slim was in there and showing some love. What up, fellas? I traded a 2024 third rounder for the future upside of Felton Jr., wide receiver running back. So I'm 3-0 with a ton of running back depth. 1 QB, Wilson starter. Should I drop Fields for Burrow or Carr for Wait for Fields? So that's a lot to take in. So he's currently undefeated. So first and foremost, well done, Slim, because you're owning your league, and that's kudos to you, my friend. 1 QB league with Wilson as a starter. Should he drop Fields for Burrow or Carr? So that's the question, or just wait for Justin Fields. I'm assuming that's Russell Wilson. I don't know that you need to really worry about any of that because Russell Wilson is still producing at a very high level, if I remember correctly. Sully, are you dropping any of those players for Burrow or Carr?
First of all, I like the trade. I think getting Felton for a third is great because thirds are lottery picks and who knows what's going to happen with him. So I like the value of that. No, I don't know, man. That's tough. I understand the desire to have a secondary quarterback on your team, even in a 1 QB league, but those are 4 guys that I'd be happy with any of them. And I'm not dropping Justin Fields by any means for anyone, but I don't know why Burrow or Carr aren't rostered either. So
my guess is this is redraft because I should say,
well, no, he traded a
redraft, right?
But he traded a pick. He traded Felton for a pick, so it's a
I don't know if it's the same league. If it's the same league,
yeah. Slim, throw in the comments if this is Throw in the comments if these are 2 different leagues that you're trading in. But let us have a little more context so we can make sure we get this right. Because in my mind, if you're trying to win, you're 3-0 in a redraft, and you're carrying 2 quarterbacks. One of them is Russell Wilson, and the other one is Justin Fields. I'm dropping Fields for Burrow probably because Burrow is a nice bye week fill-in.
In redraft, I would drop Fields for a positional player myself. I wouldn't roster a second quarterback.
I'd probably drop, if I'm going to drop for either quarterback, I'm going to pick up Carr over Burrow.
I would also pick up Carr over Burrow. But again, if this is a redraft league in 1 quarterback, I wouldn't roster a second quarterback myself.
I'm with Anthony because who cares if you lose that week? Just win your last week. Don't worry about winning week 8 or 9 or 10. Doesn't matter.
And so going back to this trade, 2024 third rounder, Felton could be the Kareem Hunt role in the next year or so if they don't keep Kareem Hunt. Like
2024.
Felton, so that's way out there.
2024.
That's a huge
I may not even
trade.
be alive in 2024.
Exactly.
Let's go.
Like I'm not.
Let's
I
do
don't
it.
have. I don't have any investments that go that far in my life. I'll tell you
If you're
that
eating
right
any
now.
of that fresh kill that Craig was talking about, you may not.
That went longer than my first marriage. Let's go, man. Let's come on.
Oh,
right.
he had some more context. Fields' redraft. Yeah, I think I'll grab a position. So
Nice. Good.
if you need help finding a positional player, we dropped our tiered rankings this week. So, if you check out the running back, wide receiver, tight end tiered ranking videos, see who's available in your league and go get kind of the best of there.
Yeah, those videos are fantastic, especially when you're trying to figure out who to put in your flex spot. And I think you guys did a great job on those.
And keep in mind, if Carr and Burr are on your waiver wire, they're going to be on their waiver wire. Guys like that are going to be on your waiver wire when you need a bye week replacement anyway. So
Yep.
It's another great point.
Use that roster bench for a positional player with upside.
Cool. Right, let's get back to our list.
So, yeah. Sorry, guys. Super chats take precedent in that conversation.
Absolutely,
All
as they should.
Number 2, Dak Prescott. Right now, he's QB 15, averaging just under 20 points a game. Sully, fact or fiction? He's going to stay that way the rest of the year.
I think it's fact. And the reason I think it is because A, he's not running like he has in previous seasons. B, we have seen the Cowboys lose with him throwing it 58 times and then win back-to-back with a little bit more of a run game component and a lot less passing game component. I believe this is the way that the Dallas Cowboys are going to go moving forward. And Dak Prescott, he's going to win. He's going to be a great real-life quarterback, but he's going to suffer as a fantasy quarterback, in my opinion.
Anthony.
Yeah, I think it's close. I'd lean toward fiction. I think he'll probably finish the year as a QB1, low-end QB1. I agree with everything Sully just said, but I do think, with Cooper banged up, Gallup's going to come back. I just have a feeling that they're gonna still have a more pass-friendly league. Once they start stacking the box against Zeke and Pollard, they're not going to really have that, type of, they can do different things. I think I think Dak is going to be able to get more points than what he's shown so far throughout the end of the year.
I forgot one little piece. Sorry. And the defense is actually a heck of a lot better than I ever thought it would be.
That's true.
That piece as well.
Micah Parsons.
What
That's all I'm
stud,
saying.
eh?
That dude's a beast. All right. So I agree with both of you because I think some of the guys that are in the top 15 are more fiction than fact. So they slide down and Dak gets to around the 10 to 12 range. I think him and Hurts finish really similar when it comes to, kind of 10, 11, 12 range. But when you think about it, like Darnold and Goff and some of these guys that are in there, I'm like, they had one really good week.
Like
Doesn't
Daniel
mean
Jones kind of thing?
Daniel Jones has the chance to stay in there because it's the Hurts effect. He can run around a lot. He can get you touchdowns on the ground, do all sorts of stuff. So Jones has the opportunity to do that. I'm not saying he will, but, he keeps losing wide receivers. He might not have anybody to throw it to, so he might be stuck,
True.
So I would see kind of in between. I don't want to say fact, but it's not truly fact or fiction. It's kind of somewhere in the gray area.
It's not how the game works, Brad, but okay.
Hey, well, you guys keep calling everything fact. So you know what? I'm not going fiction.
All right.
I'm going to try to stay positive and be like, maybe.
All right. Bounce around. Don't even follow the list. We're not going to have time for all of them anyway. So just pick a couple out of there and let's have some fun.
Let's go to number 10, Kyle Pitts. Fact or fiction. Right now he's tight end 15, averaging well less than tight end 1 numbers, 8.3 points per week. And we know that 9.7 is the tight end 1, right?
Yeah.
Is it 9.7?
It's like 9.38, but who's keeping track?
Well, you were. That's why I was guessing. So is he staying in that range, or are we going to see him continue to see an increase in workload, Sully?
I think this is it. And I don't think that 8.3 fantasy points PPR-wise a week is a bad thing for Kyle Pitts as a rookie. He'll probably still end up being one of the best rookie tight ends we've ever seen. But Matt Ryan's brutal, and that offensive line is horrible. That team's just really, really bad. And just turn around and give it to Cordell Patterson and let him run for 6 yards. Like, that's what I would do if I ran that offense. So I think Kyle Pitts is going to score. Like, he hasn't done that yet. But I don't think we're going to see nearly what I was hoping to see out of him or Calvin Ridley or any of that offense.
It's the Big Ben effect. I mean, both of those teams, like all the great skill position players they have, are not getting any love because their quarterbacks and offensive line play is just not so good. Anthony, is that fact or fiction for you as well?
It is sadly a fact. I agree with Sully. The line is terrible. Matt Ryan has been terrible. I mean, it's bad when in a super flex you're starting Daniel Jones over Matt Ryan without even thinking twice about it, and that's where I'm at in one of my leagues. So, yeah, I mean, I have Pitts in one redraft, and I am 0-3, and he's a big reason for that, unfortunately. But what are you going to do?
Where'd you draft him?
5th round.
That's not bad. That's actually late for where he was going this year. So
yeah, but I did take him over Hawk, and that makes me feel really stupid right now.
Yeah, well.
Sully talked a lot of people into making that move, I'm sure.
He did.
So
yeah,
to be totally transparent, I was always Kyle Pitts at the top of the list for Dynasty, and he was my 5th. He's my 6th ranked tight end coming into the league into this season. Pardon me, in redraft.
Yeah, I had the same concerns with the Falcons that I kind of had for the Lions. I thought this was going to be what the Lions were. So it's just one of those things. But you win some, you lose some.
You win some, you lose some. All right. So last question before we get to the Q&A portion of the show. I'm going to go with Mike Williams because he's a guy that I don't think people are showing enough love to still. Right now he's at like wide receiver 2 and he's averaging over 25 points a game. Sully, is that fact or fiction that he stays that way?
I know you keep wanting me to stop saying fact, but it's legit. I think he is a top 5 fantasy wide receiver this season. And I know that I'm getting a little excited because this is a guy that I have never been a fan of other than when he was a rookie. I did like him coming out, and then he came into the league with a back injury and never materialized into anything, and then suffered for the first couple of seasons. But he's got that Michael Thomas role in that Saints style offense. He's big. He's a contested catch machine, and he's got a really good quarterback, and they have a much better offensive line. So I picked the Chargers to win the Super Bowl this year, so I might as well pick Mike Williams to be a top 5 wide receiver while I'm at it.
All right, Anthony, you'll get to this one here in a second. But fact or fiction, did Sully actually create any fiction questions for tonight's show?
Well, he left off Tyreek Hill, so maybe he wanted to have Tyreek Hill be his fiction. I don't know.
Why don't you go to number 5 real quick then?
You want?
Hey, he wants a softball. That's what he wants is a softball.
All right, Anthony, I'll let you answer this one. Fact or fiction, Deandre Swift, Jamal Williams. Right now, they're RB3 and RB10. Swift's at 20 points a game. Williams, 15.5. Do they stay that way the rest of the year?
No, these guys aren't going to both stay as RB1s. It's just it's fiction. There's no way it's going to happen. I'll give you the softball. There we go. Fiction, not going to happen.
Number 8 is fiction. I could do this all night.
Anyway. All right, so Anthony, back to the Mike Williams side of things. So Mike Williams, do you see him staying as a wide receiver 1, a high-end wide receiver 1 the rest of this season?
No, I don't see him staying as a high-end wide receiver 1. I think he's going to slip a little bit. Keenan Allen, I don't know where Keenan Allen's at right now. He's not anywhere close. I think that's going to shift a little bit back to normalcy.
Who finishes higher at the end of the season? Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen. Yeah.
And that the conversation people are that I've been having with people is like, you can start both of these guys right now. If you have them both 100%. On your roster, play them. This offense can support these guys just fine. Keenan Allen's getting a ton of targets. Mike Williams is getting big plays with touchdowns. I mean, it's not like they're the same type of player, and they never were meant to be. Mike Williams was meant to be the big physical down the field threat, where Keenan Allen was meant to just eat all over the field because he can do that. So I don't see what the problem is.
There's some awesome questions in the chat.
I know.
We're getting on fire tonight.
I like it. I love it. We got more of it. All right. So we are going to start. And obviously we got to Slim because Super Chats go first. So we are going to jump back up to the top. And Joseph, welcome to the show. Should I pick up Kenny Golladay and drop Darnell Mooney? After that showing last week, Bears fans probably would agree that you should, but is that the way it should happen, Mr. Leone?
Yeah, I had Golladay higher pre-draft into draft season. So I would pick up Golladay. I would drop Mooney. Yeah, that's pretty easy for me.
Yeah, team's number 1 for sure, right, Sully?
Yeah, I think you have to go and have some faith in Kenny Golladay because he might actually be, even at 80%, one of the healthiest wide receivers in New York. I like Mooney a lot, and I think the Bears are going to be a lot better. And they're not going to have one passing yard and 47 yards of offense every week. They got some things to figure out, and while they're figuring it out, let Mooney sit there on your waiver wire and score some points with Kenny Golladay.
Absolutely agree. Definitely go get Golladay, especially all the injuries that the Giants are seeing. Kenny Golladay should see a heavy workload, depending on when these guys come back. All right, over on Facebook, Facebook user asks, I don't know if you guys are taking questions, but if you are, exclamation point, would you roster Emmanuel Sanders in a PPR format for the rest of the year? Sully.
Yeah, roster and start are two different things. I'm absolutely going to roster him, provide. If I have 5-6 bench spots, why not? Absolutely.
Anthony.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if I have the space for him, I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah, I don't hate rostering him. I just don't expect him to get, 2 touchdowns on the regular basis. Like, I think that might be the peak you see of him this year. If he gets 4 to 6 touchdowns, I'd be surprised this year.
Yeah, he's an emergency start if you have him, but I mean, he's still worth rostering, I'd say. It's a very, very efficient offense.
It is. It definitely knows what it's doing. Again, Joseph asked, is Marlon Mack worth a pickup? We obviously just heard that he's now officially going to be traded at some point if somebody wants him. Anthony, are you picking him up?
But what does this mean for Marlon Mack? No, I don't think.
The Mac.
Oh my God! I almost started singing it. Nobody wants to hear that.
I don't think I would pick him up at this point. You don't know if he's going to get traded or not. You don't know if he's going to go into a bad space or not. I mean, if you have a free roster spot, like sometimes I'll do like this little like sneaky thing where I'll like drop my kicker for an extra bench spot. So like if you're not like in love with your kicker, yeah, if you want to drop your kicker, add Mac for the week, see if he gets traded before Sunday, cool. Then drop Mac for a kicker. Like I'm cool with that. You can do that, but otherwise, like rostering this guy long term, that's not really in my game plan.
With how Fab is used, depending on what your league's Fab's budget is. I mean, I have leagues where the budget is hundreds to $1,000. I have leagues where it's $200. And if your league is big enough and you haven't spent much of your Fab, wait till this guy gets traded somewhere. If you like the spot, drop 20-25% of your Fab on it if you have it. Like, I mean, that's where my mind's at with it. As many injuries as we've seen, I could see him going to a juicy spot, but I could also see him going to a spot where it ruins his fantasy value. So, why rush it if you don't need to? What do you think, Sully?
I just think it depends on where I'm at it as my team's sitting. Like if I'm 3-0, I'm 100% picking him up because I probably don't need him anyway. But if I'm 0-3, like I need to figure out something that's going to help me now. I don't think Marlon Mack, and this is just my take, I don't really think he's that good anyway. So even in a starting role, I think he's, a running back 28 to 36 on a weekly basis, which is absolutely startable and needs to be rostered. But I don't think we're talking about like lightning in a bottle here. So if you're in a good spot and you're looking for a depth piece and you kind of beat the waiver wire a week early, I think that's a good move to pick him up. But if you're kind of struggling out of the gate and you need some help, I think you need to look elsewhere.
Even a team that needs running back, though, may not even be a good spot for him. I mean, let's just talk about the Panthers real quick. If let's say the Panthers acquire Marlon Mack, Chuba Hubbard could still lead the backfield anyway. Marlon Mack could just take the Royce Freeman role, right? So it's Royce,
and Royce might be better than Marlon Mack. We don't even know that.
Exactly. So it's not something you really want to waste a bench spot on right now when there's so many uncertainties.
Absolutely. All right, over on YouTube, Andrew Harv, welcome, my friend. I traded Debo, Cole Beasley, and Michael Pittman for Diggs and Kittle. What do you think? That's a great move. That's some baller action there, Andrew. I mean, Diggs and Kittle are both elite at their position, where Debo, Beasley, and Pittman are all fine, good, but not elite.
Yeah, it depends on which side of the trade you got because it doesn't say exactly. So
he said I traded Debo, Beasley, and Pittman for Diggs and Kittle. So
yeah, he got the Diggs and Kittle.
He traded the 3 for the 2.
Yeah, Diggs and Kittle side win immensely. So assuming that's what you did, I love it.
The only thing that gives me a little bit of pause is if for some reason like PPR wise, Debo gets a ton, Beasley gets a ton, Pittman gets a lot. Diggs and Kittle have kind of slid back a little bit, but I still like the Diggs and Kittle side of the trade for sure.
They are good fact and fiction conversations. I don't think they stay where they're at season long. I think they both continue to rise. So I think
now you're into the fact and fiction game, and it's over. Like,
we already passed it.
I needed that enthusiasm while we were playing it.
With me, you get enthusiasm 100% of the time.
24/7. 24/7.
24/7. Jacked. All right. So speaking of Jack, Jaws, welcome back. It's always good to see you, my friend. Get 0.5 per rush in one league with Hubbard. I'll take it, Sully.
I think he's referring to my 25 touches and 28 fantasy points.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So, Jacob, welcome back. I traded Deontay Johnson and Alexander Madison for Calvin Ridley. Did I win?
I think so.
Long term, yeah.
I hope so.
I mean, Deontay's still super young, and once they get rid of Ben, he becomes more valuable again. But I mean, I don't hate it because Alexander Madison is a backup piece. So you really just try to solidify your wide receiver position. But I mean,
wait, what did you say? Once they get rid of Ben, he's more valuable again? What does that mean?
Big Ben, Roethlisberger, Deontay becomes
and replace him with who? Mason Rudolph?
At this point, he's better with any of those guys.
Come on, Deontay Johnson balled last game with Ben. Come on, that's no.
Look, there are receivers in this game that are good regardless. Two of them are involved in this question. Calvin Ridley has a terrible quarterback and is an amazing wide receiver. Deontay Johnson is a good wide receiver with a terrible quarterback. Mason Rudolph is better than Ben Roethlisberger. Dwayne Haskins would be better.
That's who I want to say. I want to just put Dwayne in. Let's see what happens, man.
Crazy.
As far as this trade goes, I absolutely think you won the trade with Calvin Ridley. I hope you did, because I love Calvin Ridley, but we need, and I'm not going to say Josh Rosen is better than Matt Ryan or Felipe Franks is better, but both these guys could use a quarterback upgrade, but I will go with Calvin Ridley there.
Yeah, I'm fine with it, but I mean, both are really nice pieces, so it's not like it's a huge deal either way. Either way, but well done, Jake. All right, so streak. I was about to say steak. Streak over on YouTube. Steak sounds good too. Should I do Amari Gibson Pitts for Kelsey and Hunt? I already have Mahomes, so then I'll have the stack full PPR. So Amari Cooper, Antonio Gibson, and Kyle Pitts for Kelsey and Kareem Hunt.
No,
it's too much.
I wouldn't do that.
I mean, that's a lot for those two pieces when we don't know your roster. And that's a lot to ask.
Kareem Hunt's the wild card there for me, right? Like, he's just not consistently involved enough when I'm trading two for sure starters and probably a third for the best tight end there is and a maybe starting running back. I don't think.
And you can tell he has Mahomes. That's why he wants to do this. But I just don't think it's the right move.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I need the stack.
I buckle for Kyle J. Kyle J did get more snaps than Sermon. Oh,
use check.
He's talking about use check. I put in a buck for Kyle use check. Oh,
why not?
Flex start if he sees. I mean, that offense is so weird right now with the running back issues. I mean, obviously Anthony's our resident 49er. What's going on there?
Oof.
I don't really know if they know. I don't think they're too happy with Sermon. I do think Sermon will get better. I still think he's going to be the lead back by year end. So, no, I don't think Juszczyk is worth a roster spot unless it's a really, really deep dynasty league. He's kind of like in that Josh Gordon kind of range for me. Like, if you got the space, fine. But, I think Sermon will ultimately lead the backfield. And I think he and Elijah Mitchell are going to be a pretty good 1-2 combo. We're going to see that toward, once Elijah Mitchell's healthy. I think that's going to be pretty rock solid.
Yeah, I don't really ever subscribe to rostering a fullback, which is basically
I think the Niners have more to worry about than just who their running back is going to be on a week-to-week basis. This is a team that did their best to give away a game in week 1 to the Lions. struggled mightily to beat a team that we just saw got throttled last night and gave away a game this past week. So they have issues at wide receiver. They're not using their tight end like they did. They can't seem to figure out which quarterback should be on the field or running back.
Defense is the biggest concern. I mean, I'm not an IDP guy, but I know that, their cornerbacks aren't good. Fred Warner's good, but otherwise they don't really have a great defensive unit.
You got some good linebackers and you got a couple of good pass rushers, but you also lost your defensive coordinator that had a lot to do with why your defense was as good as it was, right? So, but Rick, I don't want to jump ahead on you, but Rick calls it out in the chat, is that Sermon probably just isn't as good as people thought he was. And, I know that Roto Heat as a team wasn't really that high on him coming out. He couldn't shake Master Teague in college, and that was a big red flag for me. So we'll see.
Yeah. I like Elijah Mitchell. If he's healthy, they know what to do with him, and he's pretty electric.
I think you got to hang on to him. Hang on to him for sure.
But hang on to both of them, yeah.
Just not Kyle Juszczyk. All right, so Charlie Ziegman, welcome. Do I accept this trade? He does mention in the next comment it's a PPR. Trading away Allen Robinson and Brandon Ayuk for A.J. Brown. That's a rough one because I love Allen Robinson. I know Chicago's offense was rough this week, but Allen Robinson is a wide receiver one. This one I feel like I need your roster construction to say yes or no to. I mean, in a vacuum, Dynasty, I'd be okay with it. In a redraft,
well, AJ Brown's hurt, so if it's
redraft, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
I agree. In a redraft, I wouldn't do it. In a dynasty, I would be I think I would do that. I'd rather have AJ Brown long term, and then you also get another roster spot, which is valuable. So, in a dynasty, I would do it.
I don't think I would. I think Chicago gets their stuff straightened out. Whether they need a new head coach or they need a couple of free agent offensive linemen, something to solidify what the heck they're trying to do there. A-Rob's a top 10 wide receiver. Ayuk is a wild card. Like, he's good. They just got to figure out what's going on there. And A.J. Brown is awesome and maybe the wide receiver one overall in Dynasty. But these are potentially two top 20 wide receivers there. So
but Allen Robinson's a free agent next year. So
good. So then he goes somewhere and has a better chance of being in a good offense. And
but then he'll be 30 years old.
But what does that matter? How old is Antonio Brown? How old is
AJ Brown?
AJ Brown's probably 20. He's probably 26.
25, I think. Yeah, he's still.
But I just think young. The good performing talent in this league throughout history doesn't care how old it is. It continues to produce, right? There's a lot of wide receivers in their 30s. There's a lot of wide receivers in their late 20s, early 30s that people are throwing out the window in Dynasty because they're old. And I'm just rolling by and picking them up because, newsflash, they're all good and they're going to still be good even in their older years. Adam Thielen is another one. Like, guys that are good and they're going to stay good. They might not be top 2, but they can still be top 15. So
but AJ Brown can be top 2.
I think we have a good quote there. Guys that are good.
There you go. And if they're not, just keep tricking yourself.
Fun.
There you go. Totally. Trade yourself into a winner or whatever the heck your line was.
So trade yourself into good decisions or whatever it is.
So
Slim does. So we hope for Slim's sake that they do stay RB 1 and 2 because he's got Swift and Jamal Williams as his RB 1 and 2 with the Dobbins injury.
That's good. You'll have production on a weekly basis.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Juan, welcome to the chat. Waller for CD and Mike Williams. Should I do it?
So,
if you're getting CD and Mike Williams, yes, you should.
Yeah, so
it really just depends on your roster. It really depends on your roster for me. I mean, Waller is such a huge difference at tight end.
If you have some depth,
it just depends.
Sure.
I'll take a donut at tight end on a weekly basis to throw 2 top 10 wide receivers in my lineup, though.
Yeah, in a vacuum,
redraft, sure.
In a vacuum, it's CD and Mike Williams, but I really would like to know more on the context of the teams involved.
That's very, very,
very, very astute of you
I
tonight,
know.
Anthony.
Yeah, no. I'd probably go with the package myself as well, obviously in a vacuum for sure, because they're both young and super talented. But Darren Waller is a difference maker, and that's a tough thing is when you look at the tight end position. If you have one of those elite ones, you're going to beat your opponent most weeks with this guy in your line. Like you're going to beat his tight end with your tight end. Does that give you the chance to win?
You're not in a tight end only league though. Like that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you need points to beat your opponent. And if it's you beat him by 5 or you beat him by 50
points to beat your opponent.
Well, seriously, like who cares what your tight end gets you? This is what you guys yelled at me about all offseason when I like Kyle Pitts.
No, I just yelled at you because it was fun.
Yeah,
all right. Stick and Puck Buds, welcome to the chat. Should I trade Chase Claypool for Cortland Sutton? I just don't trust Big Ben anymore in a PPR. I love Sutton no matter what, so I would do this deal in a heartbeat because Sutton not only gets the targets, he's the better big play threat. He's better receiver. He's better route runner. He's better at everything. So he probably beat Chase Claypool at checkers too. Who knows? So I would go with Cortland Sutton. Sully, what are you doing?
Agree with you 100%, Brad.
Anthony.
Yeah, my thing's messing up, so I don't know if you guys can hear or see me, but yeah, I agree. I agree with you as well.
Okay. We can hear you loud and clear, and your video is just a little fuzzy, but you're still there. All right, Qui-Gon, welcome back. Master Jin is in the chat. Can Kupp keep his production? So right now, what is he? Number 1 overall, right?
Yeah.
What do you think, Sully?
No, because he's on pace for like 2,076 receiving yards, and like I think it's I can't remember how many touchdowns he has, but he's averaging like 2 or something a game. So can he finish as the wide receiver 1? Yeah. Can he maintain the pace that he's at? No.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is the ultimate. This is the ultimate sell opportunity in Dynasty. Like right now, his value will not get any higher than it will right now. This is when you sell him.
I'm not selling him as long as Matthew Stafford's his quarterback.
So that comes down to if you're a contender or if you're rebuilding. I mean, that comes down to where's your roster at. If you're in the middle of rebuilding, you can get rid of him, no big deal. Sure, if you can get a really
you could sell Cooper Kupp right now for like Jamar Chase. I would do it in a heartbeat. I mean, this is the time to trade him right now.
In a redraft format, I'm trying to win. I want Kupp. In a dynasty format, if I'm trying to win, I want Kupp. Like I think you need to be careful with when you trade this guy away because he's put up wide receiver 1. This isn't like this is an anomaly. He can be a wide receiver 1. Has he ever been the number 1 wide receiver? No, but he can be a top 5 to 10 wide receiver. So
now in Dynasty, this is when you trade him right now. This is right now. To mark my words, right now is when you trade him because I just floated out Cooper Kupp for Jamar Chase, and neither of you guys blinked. If I say in 5 weeks from now, hey, should I trade Cooper Kupp for Jamar Chase? You're going to say, yeah, but no one's ever going to do that. I'm telling you, this is the time to trade him right now.
I shook my head. No, I wouldn't make that trade. And 5 weeks from now, I won't make that trade either because as Cooper Kupp is not sustaining the pace that he's on, neither is Jamar Chase. He's not going to score 17 touchdowns this year. So let's, 3 weeks ago, this guy couldn't catch a football and like he sold his soul and now he can't drop one. So is Jamar Chase a good wide receiver? Absolutely. But am I getting rid of Cooper Kupp in the process? No.
Yeah, if I'm trading Cooper Kupp right now for anything, I want more than because he's just extremely high right now. If you're really trying to sell him, build a package that gets you some really good return on an investment or keep riding this wide receiver 1 production because he's still going to produce at a good level. Like Matthew Stafford's still targeting him like crazy early, often throughout the game. So, however you decide to handle him, you're going to it's a win-win, whether you're playing him and you're winning or you're trading him and you're getting a ton of assets back in the conversation.
Yeah, and I think your point of where your team is at is valid for sure. But I think we lose sight as dynasty managers sometimes. It's okay to win this year. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I don't care if I win next year or the year after that, if it means I'm going to win this year. I'm okay with winning this year.
Now, if you
just win,
do both. You do both by trading an older wide receiver like Cooper Kupp. You get the same upside with Jamar Chase this season.
Brad,
he's at least 27 or 28.
He's 28.
Oh,
He is 28.
he's in that.
Yes.
He's in that bucket of guys 27 to 32 that people are getting rid of, and I'm scooping them all up, flying championship flags on my flagpole, and you guys are rebuilding for the next year. That's
Sully's
cool.
like, listen, this kid's still younger than my kid, all right? So I'm good.
They all are.
All right, so Slim, please think Elijah Mitchell will start. He's my golden ticket until Wilson comes off IR. I do. If Mitchell's healthy, they're going to use him. Like he's been the best running back they've had on this roster this year because he's the only one that's really been producing when given the opportunity. Obviously, Mostert went down too early to tell, but I like Elijah Mitchell a lot. I'm doing it. I'm starting Zach Wilson in my QB2 over Daniel Jones. The receivers' hands have been killing Wilson. I don't know that I do that. Daniel Jones has been producing on the ground and through the air a bit. Man, that's a tough start for me. With Zach Wilson having so much trouble right now, do you guys really start Zach Wilson over Daniel Jones?
No, I'm starting
ahead.
Daniel Jones. I'm starting Daniel Jones for sure. No question about it.
I mean, right now, Daniel Jones is a QB1, right? Like, I think he's in the top 12.
Yeah,
He's
no,
QB6
there's no
or something.
question about it. Slim, don't get too cute here. Just go Jones. Zach Wilson could get better as the year go on. I wouldn't bet on it right now.
Yeah. Sully, you're not starting either, right?
No, and Slim, like, we love you, man. But I think what it comes down to here is not yet. Like, I think there is probably a time this year where maybe you can do this, but to the point that both these gentlemen have made is Daniel Jones is going to run himself into a decent day for you, especially as your QB2. You don't need 28 to 30 points out of it. You'll be fine with the 18 that Daniel Jones gets you.
Oh, for sure. Matt over on YouTube, first comment says, yo, what up, guys? What up, Matt? Welcome back. Do you like the Broncos D versus the Ravens this week, or should I rock the Saints? The Broncos defense has been producing pretty well. I would probably keep riding them. What do you think, Sully?
Well, the Saints are at home to the Giants, and the Giants are really beat up. And I think it's something like 40-something games since the Saints have given up a 100-yard rusher. So Saquon's in a bit tough this week, and they don't really have any healthy pass-catching backs. But I don't know. You want your – how do I say this properly? The defense that you roster, you want it to be facing a quarterback that's going to throw a lot, not a team that runs a lot. So I would stay away from the Ravens because I want sacks. I want interceptions. I don't want the Ravens are a bad defense to match up. Bad offense to match up your defense against. Holy crap, get it out, Sullivan. I'm going to go with the Saints.
Anthony.
Yeah, this is very easily the Saints for me. Broncos have started well, but look who they face. They face Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence, and Zach Wilson. I mean, don't we think that has something to do with it here? So, yeah, Broncos have been good, but I don't anticipate them to be that good this week. Like to Sully's point, they're not going to be throwing a lot of interceptions, we think. So yeah, I'm
so
all
the only
Saints.
reason you start the Broncos is if you think Lamar Jackson is going to keep being the turnover machine, fumbles and the like. You know, Detroit picked him off. Detroit caused a fumble. Broncos defense is clearly better than Detroit's. Von Miller appears to be back in a fairly good fashion. I mean, they're doing well. So that, in my mind, that's why you start the Broncos D, because you're looking for those turnovers. Are the Saints going to get turnovers from the Giants? Absolutely. There's this. Either one of these defenses should get you a top 12 week because of what they can do in the turnover game.
Yeah, Daniel Jones isn't exactly safe with the football. So
right. Ricky Butts over on YouTube. Welcome to the chat, my friend.
Who?
Does Anthony really think Ben is any good right now?
I think he is better than anyone else wearing a yellow and black uniform for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he's better than Dwayne Haskins. I think he's better than Mason Rudolph. And I think that Ben Roethlisberger provides a better fantasy ceiling and floor, for that matter, for Deontay Johnson than anyone else in that organization.
If all the quarterbacks were in the last year of their contract and they all made the same amount of money, and Mike Tomlin was also in the last year of his contract, who starts?
Ben Roethlisberger.
Brad?
Anybody other than Ben?
I think so too.
I mean,
I want my quarterback to be able to throw the ball 15 yards.
I've watched
can't.
too many replays of Ben tripping over air this year so far in like 3 weeks. I'm like, I just don't like them talking about having to work on his elbow just so he can throw the ball, and he's not even throwing the ball very well. I don't know if he
can only go deep one side of the field. So you just
Ben
take that side of the field away.
Ben Roethlisberger will have another 300-yard game this season.
Okay.
Anybody could have a 300-yard game this season.
Dwayne Haskins.
I don't want to turn this into the Ben Roethlisberger show, but I need to know how many air yards Ben's going to have to get that 300 yards.
That dude's throwing 60 passes.
Or it's going to be 19 more targets than Najee Harris, who gets 123 yards receiving.
That dude's throwing
I could do that.
60 passes. All right, so Slim's got some more. It's a deep dynasty bench. He needs a potential emergency week 4 start at running back, and we haven't talked about Ramondre Stevenson yet. So, week 4 started running back in a super deep league. Who would you think has the potential to do something? With James White out, do you guys think Ramondre has a chance to be viable in this passing game? Anthony?
Not really. I mean, I'd keep my eye on JJ Taylor. I think he could be in there. They used I think they used Bolden. Who'd they use?
This feels like a Bolden week where he has that kind of game that just drives fantasy owners crazy.
Yeah, Ramondre is more of like the handcuff to Damian Harris type role. I mean, he's like just run the ball straight. So no, I don't think Ramondre Stevenson is really a name to really think of unless Damian Harris is out for whatever reason.
Yeah, I completely agree. You just have to look back at the history of Bill Belichick and what he's done historically with his rookie running backs, other than Sony Michel. He's redshirted basically all of them. And Ramondre is really not that much different. I would prefer to have JJ Taylor in this situation. Exactly. Agree 100% with what Anthony said.
Yep, absolutely. Josh from FYF is in the chat. Welcome, my friend. It's my brother's birthday, and he caused me to miss most of the Brotherhood show. Sad.
That's okay. Your brother's cool.
There's a lot of great birthdays today. So happy birthday to all you September 28th birthday people. We love you guys. You're the best.
Yeah.
Is it your daughter's birthday, Brett?
It was. Yeah, my youngest daughter turned 7 today, so that was a fun day. And
oh wow.
A few guys in different leagues I'm in had birthdays today. It seemed like a lot of people had birthdays today. It was pleasantly surprising.
Yeah, my daughter just turned 7 a week ago, so that's kind of funny. We're on the same wavelength there.
We're not much different in age, I don't think, right?
I don't know.
I'm about 7 days from my kid being 28. So
I'm only 24. How old are you, Brad? No, I'm playing.
No, get out of here. 24.
Fact or fiction?
That's fiction. That's some BS if I've ever seen it. All right. Our boy Jaws in the chat, as always, coming with the good stuff. I'm assuming he means alternative, although it says alliterative Dino stash. Juwan Johnson or Tommy Tremble. So who would you stash of these two tight ends? I'm going Tommy Tremble because the team drafted him. Juwan Johnson was a converted wide receiver who had a good week, but Tommy Tremble is a guy I think they see the future in. What do you think, Sully?
Well, alliteration is the words with consecutive letters that start them. So that's what that is, Juwan Johnson and Tommy Tremble.
Oh, alliteration. There you go. Good. I wasn't even thinking of that. I was looking at that thinking he meant who's the best.
We got the best editor in the business, and my friend Adam helps me with the English language from time to time. I think Tommy Tremble is 100% why Dan Arnold is in Jacksonville right now. So clearly, I think the Panthers believe that he is something there. Ian Thomas is not. So we saw Tremble make a few plays this last game for the Panthers. And that's the alliteration that I'm going to go. I'm going to go double T over double J. Anthony?
Yeah, I'm not good on these big words, but of who I'd rather roster here, it's Tommy Tremble. Yeah.
There you go. Trebuchet. All right. So, Tony, welcome to the show, my friend. Hello, guys. I lost CMC for a few weeks. Is Zach Moss a good pickup? Absolutely. He's probably the starting running back in Buffalo. It looks like he's good to go in. I love him. I think he's a great pickup and a fun stash.
Did you just say you love Zach Moss? Is that what I just heard?
I liked him last year. Doesn't mean I don't bust your balls for it because last year you were over him like crazy. But yeah, Zach Moss. I mean, as much as I like Devin Singletary more, I think Zach Moss is a really nice play because they'll use him at the goal line. And that offense, that's probably the best you're getting out of the running back. What do you think,
top
Sully?
12 Roto Heat waiver wire pickup this week. Of course he is.
He
Go
is.
get him.
Watch the waiver wire video.
We have
You're
come
not going to
full,
listen.
we have
in
come
the vast
full circle,
majority
my
of
friends.
leagues, the vast majority of leagues, you are not going to find a viable starting running back, and that's what Zach Moss is. He's a viable starting running back. He could give you 20 points this week. It could give you 4, but he's still a viable option. Like I'm starting him over Chuba Hubbard all damn day. So why not? Go get him.
Well, the funniest thing is I have just as many Keyshawn Vaughn shares as I do Zach Moss. I mean, I have like 3 or 4 of both. It's just hilarious. Because a year ago I had 0 Zach Moss and I had 4 Keyshawn Vaughn shares.
Yeah, and which shares cost you the most?
Yeah, I think
we know.
Vaughn. Yeah, I got
know.
Keyshawn Vaughn around the 112 in most spots. So yeah,
We
it was a 112.
know.
Oh, I have some. I wake up in the night sometimes in a cold sweat, and Keyshawn Vaughn's first thing I think of. It still sucks the life out of me most days.
Nope, I still think he has a chance. You gotta keep believing, man. Don't give up on the kid. All right, so
You're a hell
Joe,
of a
welcome
guy.
to the chat, my friend. Don't stop believing. And Keyshawn Vaughn. Do I trade Thielen or McLaren for Woods and Chuba? So I'm guessing you need some running back help, and you're targeting getting a solid wide receiver and Chuba. I don't know that I would trade either of these guys for those two, though. What are you guys thinking?
I wouldn't do this.
I don't think so either, but if I had to, and it's going to sound crazy, and this is purely just a 2021 season, I would trade McLaurin before I trade Thielen. There's something about Heineke and McLaurin that isn't, and I know they had a good game together, but you look at all the games that he's played, they haven't really been on the same page. So I'm a little bit worried about Terry McLaurin rest of the season, but I'm also worried about Robert Woods, and I don't know what Chuba is. So I would try not to do this.
Yeah, I wouldn't do this.
I would look elsewhere as well. All right. Cryptoholic, welcome. Adams for Kyler Murray, or try Calvin Ridley for Kyler Murray. So are you trading a wide receiver for a quarterback? In a 1 QB, no. In Superflex,
Maybe.
yeah. I'm like,
In Superflex, absolutely. Are you guys kidding?
yeah. Well,
Kyler
that's
Murray's top fantasy quarterback.
Well, yeah. So,
It depends on who else he has at starting quarterback, though. Because if he's already rolling with, Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins, is that enough of an upgrade to lose Adams or Ridley? Probably not. No, I don't think so. So
Okay.
I think it just depends on the league, his team.
And he says he has Ridley, Adams, and Robinson as his wide receivers. So he's got 3 wide receiver ones.
If it's a 1 QB league, do the Robinson side of it because his situation is a little bit unstable. But in Superflex, I'd trade any of them for Kyler Murray.
Rick. Shut up, Rick. Just shut up. Listen, if you need running back help with the way things have gone, Zach Moss is a great, great option. And I have him in plenty of leagues. And I've been offered, as soon as he came back and was producing, people started offering me out the wazoo for him, and I'm trying to trade him because those are all.
I'm gonna have Rick clip that and make that my ringtone for you. So every time you call me,
Amazing.
I love Zach Moss.
I love Zach
Who's
Moss.
Brad?
I do. But as we know, historically speaking, if you watch our videos here, I love everybody. Like everybody's got
That's
potential.
true.
So
That's true. Yeah.
So there you go.
He likes
All
Keyshawn
right.
Vaughn.
Oh,
Except
yeah,
Ben
so-
Roethlisberger.
Ben Roethlisberger's toast. All right. So last question. Well, we're ending it with a good one. Is Royce Freeman worth the pickup? I don't know if it's really good, but it's interesting.
I think so. I mean, I wish I could elaborate more on that, but we're not positive that Chuba Hubbard is going to get all the touches. Royce Freeman wasn't involved very much, but maybe they're going to work him in more because they weren't too happy with what they saw out of Chuba Hubbard last week. Very possible. I think of the two, I think people are going to be dropping like 50% of their fab on Chuba. That's not going to be me. I'd rather spend $2 on Royce Freeman and see what I got out of him.
Yeah, I think, you go back a week and Carolina's getting ready for their opponent with Christian McCaffrey taking 95% of first-team reps and Chuba taking the other 5%. And Royce Freeman's filling up people's water bottles and making them dinner reservations. And now all of a sudden, you fast forward a week and he's probably getting a good chunk of those reps, and would really be surprised if Royce Freeman emerged as the best running back in Carolina right now. I know I wouldn't. So, Chuba's a rookie, and I think he's good, and I think he will be a good running back. But I don't know if Chuba's 2019 Chuba or 2020 Chuba, because those are two totally different running backs. So,
and we have to remember, Carolina Panthers' offensive line is terrible. So
yeah, but it's terrible for everyone.
Right. But I'm saying
except
put a
Christian
chip on
McCaffrey.
Either. Yeah,
It's
Christian McCaffrey.
Yards per carry or whatever they are, it's not the greatest be-all and end-all stat, but Chuba ran for over 4 yards per carry in their last game. So the kid can still do what he can do, and he gives you a passing game element that I don't think that Royce does, but I could be wrong there too. But all I'm saying is he worth a pickup? 100%, because he could turn out to be just as valuable or more valuable than Hubbard.
Absolutely. Right. So we've answered this one already, Daniel. I will tell you that we all like Tommy Tremble. The question earlier was, Juwan Johnson or Tommy Tremble, but we all think he's definitely somebody that you can take a look at because they got rid of their starting tight end. And that we don't think it was because of Ian Thomas. We think it's because the kid they drafted. So definitely, if you have the roster spot in a league that's deeper, feel free to. If you're in need of tight end help, it doesn't hurt. And really in a dynasty format, I think you do it anyway just to see what happens. Worst case scenario, you stash them, and if you don't need them, maybe somebody does, you trade them. Right.
And with still a quarterback that likes the tight end position, right?
Absolutely. Right. And finishing up with our boy off the schneid, we got the Canada trifecta here. Chuba is from less than 2 hours up the road from us. Good love, the good Canadian kid over there. So
he's still from Edmonton, Cody, and that's all I have to say.
Fair enough. I don't know what that means. So there you go. DJ Vick traded A-Rob for A.J. Brown. Good move. In a redraft, no. Well, I mean, A.J. Brown's hurt right now, right? So
A.J. Brown could be out a while, too. He's week to week. That could be a month. So redraft, I don't think it's great. Dynasty, it's a home run.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you guys, as always, for hanging out with us. Don't forget, drop a like, subscribe if you watch this video after the fact, comment if you have questions. I dropped the link to Discord in the chat here earlier. Make sure you jump on Discord and join us. If you have more questions, we can answer you. We can help you out. It's free, so everybody's doing it. You should do it too. Thank you guys, as always. Join Cody from Off the Schneid and Bryce and myself tomorrow night as we talk more fantasy football, getting you ready for your Week 4 matchups. And we'll see you guys later.
Also, right there, playlist. Hit it. Watch the videos.